I have listened. We have voices from the north, voices from the south, voices from the west. And then I ask the question, who is marginalizing who? Even in this Senate, as far as I can recollect, all major appointments are subject to the confirmation of this Senate. Why is it that, no, most of the statutory positions, they are subject to confirmation by this Senate. And when I look at those who influence nominations, when they have their way, they nominate from family friends and nominate from their local government to go and serve federal institutions. So we must be seen as senators when we have influence to ensure that we use it bearing in mind that every part of this country need to have a feel of inclusion. I think that we are as guilty, since we have immunity to speak in the Senate. I think we too can do better whenever each and every one of us has opportunity to make nomination.
Thank you very much.
Because I can point at some people who have been appointed on the basis of certain influences, and those appointments were not a fair reflection of the principle of federal character. Just to say that pointing fingers at others is cheap. What are we doing differently?
This is one of the major challenges we Nigerians are creating for ourselves. Our founding fathers of this nation, knew the nation, the peculiarities of this country. From the Willings Commission to various conferences that they held, they knew the peculiarities. They knew that we were building a new nation. And most people now forget that the nation Nigeria is a nation of nationalities, welded into one to form the largest and the most powerful black nation, which is desirable. But it is in our hands to mold this nation, to create a nation that is inclusive, a nation of all and for all, and not a few. That is why the framers of this Constitution inserted this concept of federal character and went ahead, as my good brother, Senator Aliero, said, to also in the Constitution establish the Federal Character Commission and went further to prescribe the composition of that commission, to say that it shall consist of members nominated by every state. So all states are represented. And there's also a Federal Character Tribunal. But all of these have been abandoned. So now you go to ministries, you see people from one part of the country, maybe speaking one language, to the exclusion of others. And even in the state, it's not just about tribes and so on. It says the Constitution is very clear, as Senator Arelo read it, to make sure that in the formation or composition of the government of the Federation, there shall be no preponderance, none. So even in some states, if you go there, you will see that all the people they employ will be from one local government. That's a violation. That's a violation. So we're not just talking of big tribes and small tribes. It is a major problem that all Nigerian bureaucrats and people in authority are guilty of. It's not to say, oh, we blame only one side, and one side are, everybody is culpable. But it is time for us to rededicate ourselves to the founding ideals so that we can create a new Nigeria where everybody can have a sense of belonging. So I associate myself fully, Mr. President. I don't agree that we need an ad hoc committee. We already have a committee. The Senate rules are provided for the Committee on Federal Character, ably manned, And we should trust our committees. We should give them the support. The only thing I'd like to add is that because of the seriousness of this assignment, the time frame suggested will not be enough, one. And two, the leadership has to discuss with the President of the Federal Republic. The President is, in our system, is a combination of a lot of things. He's the head of state. He is the commander-in-chief, yes. But he's also the leader of the country and the chief executive of the federation. So he should be told that this flagrant commonplace violation has to stop, and that the National Assembly is doing something, and he should throw his weight behind it. And maybe when the report is out, he should be availed a copy, so that we can have fairness for all. If you go to NNPC, it will shock you, even from those of us from oil producing people, our people are not there. You go to CBN, people are not there. You go to, Mr. President, just extend it 2 minutes for me. No, I was only joking. I'm rounding up. What I mean is, this is a very serious issue. Even in the military, where our people, Nigerians, are trained, they are volunteered to give their lives to our defense of the territorial integrity of our country, fighting side by side as brothers. People will discriminate them. If a recruitment officer is one place, he will only create one type of ethnic army. We can't allow that. We can't allow that. And like I said, it's not a time for blame game. No. It's something we all must have collective responsibility to address.
The federal character principle as enshrined in the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, 1999 as amended, is not an accident. It is intended to address fears of ethnic domination or religious domination, and to create some level of harmony and cohesion in the nation's polity. Mr. President, the security, harmony, and cohesion of this country is non-negotiable. Yet, there are certain institutional limitations that tend to undermine the very laudable provision inherent in the federal character principle. Mr. President, this motion and the attendant prayer by the mover of this motion brings to the fore on the urgent need for this country to seek to strengthen and build very strong institutions. Yes, it's possible that certain lapses on the part of the implementation of the federal character principle may have been responsible for some of these lapses that we're talking about here. Yet, Mr. President, as former Minister of Interior, I'm aware that sometimes the desire of the Federal Character Commission to address some of these issues that we talk about here.
Leader, I have 1 minute.
Sorry?
You have 1 minute more.
Oh, okay. Oh, okay, one. Okay, I turn back, so it's 2 now. So, Mr. President, Mr. President, I know that sometimes when even advertisements are made, some states find it difficult to even comply with the requirements of this law. Mr. President, it calls therefore for very aggressive awareness and sensitization programs to let the people know of their responsibilities. Secondly, Mr. President, I'm aware, even as chairman of the Senate Committee on the Federal Character Commission and Intergovernmental Affairs in the 9th Senate, I came across very stirring problems of the Commission. They want to go to Benue State, for instance. They don't have vehicles. They want to go to Kogi State or go to Kano State. They have difficulty because of lack of personnel. And so, while we urge the Federal Character Commission, Mr. President, to take urgent steps in addressing the fears of many Nigerians as regards to whether they are adhering to the principle or not, I want to say here that I think we must urge this government to provide sufficient funds. First, to provide logistics, and secondly, to provide personnel for the proper implementation of the federal character principle. As I'm talking to you, Mr. President, I'm not sure that the Federal Character Commission has permanent office space. So, Mr. President, like they say, to whom much is given, much is expected. But in this case, I think we must reverse it to say, to whom much is expected, much must be given. So if we equip the Federal Character Commission sufficiently, I am sure that the human beings that man that commission are patriotic enough, nationalistic enough to make sure that the federal character principle is adhered to. Thank you, Mr. President.